Hello everybody, today we'll be talking about the 2021-22 Pittsburgh Penguins and whether or not they'll be able to get another Stanley Cup title with their dynamic duo of Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin. Before we start, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get to it. So, the Penguins have been a perennial cup contender since I've been a kid, but looking at a sign of playoff past the past 3 years, that is, they might be in some trouble here. They haven't made it out of the first round 3 straight seasons, and they haven't made it past the second round in 4 years. Just a few years ago, the Penguins were winning cups routinely, and they were dominating the league. But it's not the case, at least when it matters most in the playoffs. Sure, they've been a good regular season team, but these playoff losses could be a sign of the times, or they could be a fluke. It's probably a sign of the times, though, especially since Islanders have been able to beat them twice. But with Crosby and Malkin, the team has said before that they have no plans to do a rebuild. These are all-time great players, especially for Crosby. And while you're looking at potentially the cracks in the foundation, Pittsburgh has been one of the best teams easily over a decade. And they're just going to try to keep chugging along and wring out as much success as they can get out of this roster. Now, I do think they got to the point where this team's headed that if there was a early exit again this upcoming year, maybe this is the reality of the team. Now, I'm not exactly sure if it is actually a sign of the times, but we'll talk about that more towards the end of the video in just a quick summary. But 4 straight early exits wouldn't be a coincidence most of the time. It would be a sign of the times. But getting out of the first round might help them out here. They might be able to push that argument down the road, if you will. And it's not always all easy to win in the playoffs, and it takes a quality team in the playoffs to do so. Which leads to the next topic of whether or not Tristan Jarry could be good enough for the Penguins to win another Stanley Cup. Personally, I have my doubts. A lot of other people do, especially after this series where it was pretty bad against the Islanders. He had an .888 save percentage, with his worst game coming in the final game of the series. Pittsburgh was up 1-0, then 2-1, but in that game he ended up giving up 5 goals on 24 shots. Even if you exclude that game, the other 5 games he had a .902 save percentage. That's rough. It is pretty rough. And there was only one game in the series that he gave up less than 3 goals in a game, and I believe that was game 2 of the series. This was not his best moment by far for that series, and the Swiss cheese memes definitely drove that home even further. It was pretty bad. I did feel bad for him, which is hard to do as somebody that is a Canucks and Blue Jackets fan. But the reality is that Jarry doesn't have to be a Vezina winner on this team. And what I'm saying here is that the Penguins are a team that can easily score. We all know that. They have been a really good team at scoring. In the past 5 years, if you just look at the past 5 years, they finished in the top 10 for scoring 4 times. And they finished in the top 3, or the top 5, 3 times in that course. One year they actually led the league in scoring. Last year they finished second in the league for goals scored, an average 3.5 goals per game. Jarry just has to realize he doesn't need to be a guy that's going to stop everything that goes his way. If he can just give up 2 or 3 goals at most, then he's going to be fine. And I think that would be a good thing to get over mentally. And it is easier said than done. I know that he is in his second year of his 3-year, $10.5 million contract. Expectations are high, but it is important. You have to get past it. That's just the reality of it. Goalies before him have been able to let their teams take over offensively and just do enough to win in net. And he's going to have to do that right now. Let your team do the work for you. Just try to stop as many pucks as possible and don't get in your own head. Now, I don't ever see him being a top 10 goalie, but all he has to be is good, and we've said that. Will we see it this year? Maybe, maybe not. I guess that's going to be something we will find out. Luckily for Jarry, the Penguins might have another trick up their sleeve, especially for the playoffs, which is good because right now we're looking at the Penguins' power play, and last year they were 4th in the league for power play percentage, and Crosby and Malkin were 2nd in the league for power play points for a duo in the 2010s. Okay, that's crazy. They're only behind Ovi and Backstrom for the Capitals. And it could get even better for the Penguins too, as Malkin only played 33 games last year and could have a bounce-back season in terms of just getting back, getting healthy, and reestablishing himself. Well, I do have high hopes for Pittsburgh. They need to do a better job of drawing penalties as they ranked 25th in the league for power play opportunities. Pair that with the 4th highest power play percentage. It basically just means that, hey, while they were able to execute a bunch of the time, they weren't getting a ton of opportunities to do so, at least compared to the rest of the league. Also, 206 players in the league last year drew 10 or more penalties. Of those 206, only 4 were Pittsburgh Penguins players. Are going to have to get better about that. By drawing more penalties, you get more chances on the man advantage, and with that, Pittsburgh roster will be able to be more lethal. They're going to be able to have more opportunities to take the lead or to win just in general by scoring more on the man advantage, which is crucial. You get more opportunities, you get ready for the playoffs, life is good. And while Malkin doesn't draw the penalties that he used to, he's still somebody that I'll keep my eye on and say, okay, he's going to draw more than 10 penalties this year easily. Maybe even 20. We'll have to see. So with that being all said there, is there a chance for this duo or this team with this duo to win a Stanley Cup with their time left? I'm going to say no. At least with Jari and net, I don't see it. The team certainly could still get hot and hoist the cup if things go their way, but I can't realistically say, okay, Tristan is going to hold steady against some of the best offensive teams in the league. Now, maybe he'll prove me wrong, but I do think the Penguins should either try to get a goalie through a trade. They should try to get somebody after this season if things don't go well. But that is the one beautiful thing about this team, that during this team's dynamic duo era, they know that they're not going to try to do a rebuild. So you do have time. You know that, okay, that didn't work out for the past few years. No worries. Now we're going to do this for the next few years and see if that works. Because they don't want these two players to have to be on some bad teams. Not only for them, but for the franchise as well. Now, do you think the Penguins could win another cup during the Crosby and Malkin era that is left in Pittsburgh? Let me know down below. Also, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. You go love hockey, all right? Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.